The winning blueprint presents.
In the lab room.
Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Luke. Thank you for joining me. And it is Tuesday, and I'm going with the fashion popped collar Tuesday. And I feel good because I narrowly escaped. I narrowly escaped with my sole survivor pick of the week, which was the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Kansas City Chiefs. That was an ugly game with a capital U. Woo! Got out of there by the skin of my teeth. You're not going to hear me complain one bit about getting a W, but man, was that ugly. I mean, what we have learned in the first half of this NFL season is that inclement weather changes games dramatically. If you didn't already know that, you should be well aware of it by now. We saw it take place on Sunday Night Football with the Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans. Don't know if the outcome of that game would have been different per se because of, the weather. Don't know if it was a nice, dry, cold night in Chicago, would the outcome have been any different? The Texans may have very well still won that football game. But I can assure you there wouldn't have been 20 turnovers and only 20 points scored on the scoreboard between the two teams. I can assure you of that. And so, if nothing else, you're going to get sloppy play when the weather gets involved, especially when it's rain involved. Snow, not so much. It seems like guys are able to handle the snow because it's not as slick. It's a dry cold. The snow really doesn't impact you in the terms of having a slippery ball as much as it is just cold when it's snowing outside. And so maybe your hands aren't adjusted to the cold. Maybe you can't even feel your hands. When it's raining, it may not even be cold out. It might just be wet. But the dampness of the field, it definitely takes away from the traction, as does snow. However, people seem to adjust better to the snow than they do the rain for some reason. I can't really explain it. The traction isn't good, and guys don't hold on to the football in the rain. It's tough to do. I've been in it before, so I know it's not the easiest thing to do. But again, these are trained professionals, and we hold them to a higher standard. So, again, we've learned over the first half of the season that inclement weather changes things. And this game was no different. We got rain from the start to the finish. We got a little bit of wind sprinkled in. And man, was this game treacherous to watch. It was not a fun football game to watch. And if you were someone like me, it wasn't a fun football game to watch because you were biting your fingernails the entire time. I am not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, nor am I a Kansas City Chiefs fan. But I picked the Steelers as my sole survivor pick. Now, as I've already told you in previous episodes, I'm a I told you so guy. Nothing makes me feel better than validation. I want to be right, and I want to be right every single time, if at all possible. And so I've only been wrong once on these sole survivor picks. I'm still a little angry at the New Orleans Saints for that one miscue because I should be perfect on the season. Had no business losing that one game, but I did. And you move on. It was a mistake. It happens. And they let me down. You move on. So I look at it as not going to happen again. I learned from my mistake, and I feel confident in the picks that I'm going to make moving forward. And so I felt ultra confident in the pick that I made on Monday night. I felt extremely confident that the Steelers were going to be able to handle business against the lowly 1-7 Kansas City Chiefs. I had no doubt in my mind that this game was in the bag. But as I told you yesterday, this has been a wild and wacky week. You don't know what to expect. And to top things off this week, Everyone is getting hurt. What is the deal with all these quarterbacks going down with injuries? We saw Jay Cutler go down. We saw Alex Smith go down. We saw Michael Vick go down. We just seen a plethora of quarterbacks go down. And so adding Ben Roethlisberger to the mix and him not being able to finish that game made me even more nervous, thinking that, hey, I'm relying on Byron Leftwich to get the Pittsburgh Steelers by the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. In a game that is currently tied, I did not feel good about the prospects of me winning this game. I didn't feel like I was going to lose, but my confidence was not supreme as it had been before the game had started. And thus, this was a tough watch. But in true Kansas City Chiefs form, they found a way to not get it done. And credit to them for forcing overtime when I didn't think they were going to be able to do so. But still, they're the Kansas City Chiefs. And you don't have moral victories in the National Football League. Either you win or you lose. And they lost. So, they're the Kansas City Chiefs. And you get, the Chiefs in all of their splendor. And what else can you say about the Chiefs other than they are a poor excuse for an NFL team? When you look at them forcing a turnover that wasn't a turnover, scooping it up, scoring with it, and then getting a subsequent unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for, the whole defense dancing in the end zone, which, if you don't know, first of all, you know the rules. You're the Chiefs. I understand you haven't been leading a lot this season. You feel like I just scored a touchdown. We're taking the lead with a defensive score. You're happy. I get it. But, again, you can't self-destruct that way if you're the Chiefs. Even if that was a touchdown, still an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, still a 15-yard penalty on that play. Got to be more disciplined than that. And then the fact of the matter that it ended up not being a fumble, that was third down, and now you give the Steelers a first down because of that. Only the Kansas City Chiefs could be so careless in their behavior. That's what you get out of a 1-8 football team. You get those kind of shenanigans, and it leads you to believe that Romeo Crennel is on borrowed time. When you see things like that occur in the end zone, which there's no really excuse for it, on a 1-7 ball club, I feel bad for Romeo Crennel. I really do. I don't, because again, we've already chronicled what I think they should have done in the offseason, who should have been their quarterback right now. I'm not going to get into all that, but I do feel bad for him because I feel like he's in a no-win situation. When you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance in the National Football League, and that's where he is right now. Again, the Steelers got it done. Look, it wasn't the prettiest thing. There was nothing aesthetically pleasing about this football game, but at the end of the day, the Steelers got it done. And that's all you can ask for, is good teams find a way to win. It's not always pretty. It's not always going to score a 10 on the beauty scale. But I tell you what, a win is a win, is a win, is a win, is a win. Any team will tell you that. I don't care how I get it. I don't care how it looks. It all counts the same. If you win by 40, you don't get 2 wins for that. You get 1. If you win by 1, or you don't get a half a win for it, you just get 1. And so, doesn't matter how you do it, doesn't matter how it looks, just get it. I'm pretty sure the St. Louis Rams or the San Francisco 49ers would love to have a win today. They don't care how it would look. They would love to trade in that tie for a win. So, no one cares what it looks like. Just get the W, and that's what the Steelers were able to do. A lot of running in this game. I thought the Chiefs came out early in this football game and really ran the football effectively. They scored a early touchdown, their only touchdown of the game, with a early drive. And as they illustrated on the telecast on Monday night, that first drive was spearheaded by the Russian attack. A lot of it was to the right side of the offense, the left side of that Pittsburgh Steelers defense, and they had success. I mean, they went to it, they went to it, they went to it, and they went to the well, and they got it done. But that was it for the scoring for the most part for the Chiefs. You know, they did kick field goals, and Ryan Suckup even missed a field goal in this game. And so, if you're the Chiefs, you gave it a valiant effort. Again, there are no moral victories. Either you win or you lose. They went on the road. They gave it a shot. The weather was in their favor because this game needed to be ugly for them to have a shot. And that's what happened. And they didn't take advantage of it. And that's what it all boils down to is they had everything going in their favor. The weather was bad. The Steelers weren't playing their best football. Ben Roethlisberger goes down. You have everything stacked up against the Steelers. Everything is falling in the direction of the Chiefs, and you still don't get it done. Really, there's not much more to say other than, you know, if you can't win this game, if you're Kansas City, you're going to be hard-pressed to win a football game against any solid team in the National Football League for the remainder of this season. Because, I mean, that's as good as it gets in terms of an opportunity to go on the road and win a game against a quality opponent like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everything was starting to line up in your favor, and you still weren't able to take full advantage of it. Again, that's why they're the Chiefs. You look at it from the Steelers' perspective, and they were able to do just enough to get the win. You know, they ran the football. They didn't really run it effectively. They passed the football, didn't really do it effectively. They really didn't do anything special in this football game. They really didn't turn the Chiefs over, except for the key interception at the end of the game in overtime that Lawrence Timmons was able to snatch out of the air and take it back 23 yards down to the Chiefs' 5-yard line. That was the only turnover that the Steelers were able to force in this game. And when you're trying to put away a lifeless team like the Chiefs, you want to jump on them early, and you want to give them the indication that you're not going to do it this week either. You're a 1-7 football team, and you're going to leave here with an 8th loss. You're not coming in here to win. You're not even going to be competitive. And that's what teams have done to the Chiefs all season long, is they've jumped on the Chiefs immediately, and the Chiefs go into the tank, and the game's not close. And the Steelers didn't do that, but they did enough to win again. It's all that matters in the National Football League is you get the win, and that's what they were able to do. You kick the game-winning field goal in overtime. They get the W, 16-13 over the Chiefs. Not a pretty football game again. Not for the faint of heart. But if you stuck around long enough to watch the end of this game, as I did, you were satisfied if you picked this game as your sole survivor in a survivor pool. I was glad to get away with the win because I was so adamant about telling you guys this was the pick of the week. And again, you don't care how it happens. If you pick the Patriots, you sweated it out. But you got the win, and that's all that matters. If you pick the 49ers, you didn't get the win, and that's what I'm saying, is you have to be smart about your decisions. I told you this was a pick, and this is why I told you, if you're going to use the Steelers, use them right now. There's not another opportunity for you to use the Steelers. Because after watching this game, do you trust the Steelers against the Browns in Cleveland? It's hard for me to say the Steelers are going to beat the Browns, especially with this Ben Roethlisberger injury looming over their head. This is a cloud that might not go away for a while. We're talking about a potential serious injury here. We don't know the extent of this shoulder injury. And I'm hearing that he also has a rib injury as well that a lot of people aren't talking about as much as the shoulder. So we don't know what the extent of Ben Roethlisberger's health is right now. And so you don't know what this game could mean. This game could mark the beginning of the end for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2012 season. This game could mark the start of Byron Leftwich having to take over for the remainder of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This game could mark the beginning of some skittish play by the Steelers that still allows them to get into the postseason, but this could be an up and down roller coaster type of season for the remainder of this season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Or this game could just be what it was. And that's a W for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We don't know. It remains to be seen, but I tell you what, this Ben Roethlisberger injury looming over this team is a crushing blow, especially when you put it in the context of looking up ahead what the Steelers have on their plate moving forward. This happened at the absolute worst time in the season for the Steelers. We're talking Ravens this week, and we're talking about the Ravens again in just 3 or 4 more weeks down the road. We're talking about the Ravens twice in the next 4 weeks. Could it have happened at a worse time for the Steelers? I mean, they have the Ravens this week at home. One that you have to have if you want this division. Have to have it. You can't lose at home and then expect to just go to M&T Bank and get it back. It's not how it works. That could very well be how it plays out, but mentally, you don't want to go to M&T Bank thinking I have to have this one because we dropped the one at home. That's not the way you want to think about this. You have to have this one at home if you're the Steelers. And not only for your mental approach, but you got to remember, you're still down a game in this division. You drop this one at home. You're not down 2 games. You add in the fact that they beat you, you're down 3 games. So there's a lot riding on this game, and you probably won't have the services of Ben Roethlisberger if that injury is as serious as many people think. So that's going to do it. That's a touchdown. Throw it up. Talk on this quick extra point. I'm not a big supporter of Mark Sanchez. Never have been, probably never will be. I don't really like Mark Sanchez's approach to the game. And not saying that he doesn't have good work ethic or anything. I don't know him personally. I just know what I see. And the outward appearance is that. And look, there's no credence to what I'm about to say. This is just how I feel. This is what I think. This is what I've seen and what I've been allowed to see. And this is what I think. I think that Mark Sanchez isn't in love with being a quarterback. I think he's in love with what being a quarterback in the National Football League, a starting quarterback in the National Football League, brings. That's my personal opinion. I feel like that's what you get with these USC guys. You have to be careful when you pick a USC quarterback because you come from California. You're the star. Everyone's loving who you are and what it means to be the quarterback of USC. You're a rock star when you're the quarterback of USC. That's like being an NFL quarterback before actually being an NFL quarterback. And you've seen the same thing with Matt Leinart. Not really in love with the fact that I'm a quarterback per se. More so that I'm in love with what it brings, what it means to be an NFL starting quarterback. In Matt Leinart's case, he was never really a starting NFL quarterback. I mean, they tried to give him the job, and they realized this guy isn't what we thought he was. We can't turn our franchise over to him. And that's how I kind of feel about Mark Sanchez. He has all the tools. He has all the gifts that you think you need to have a NFL quarterback. But I'm not sure if the mental makeup is there or not. I'm not sure if it is there or not. All I can say is that from what I've seen from the beginning of his career to now, I'm not seeing any improvement. I'm not supposed to see regression. I'm not supposed to see him become stagnant in his progression and maturation as a quarterback. But that's what it seems like. It seems like he's reached his apex. Him going to the AFC Championship game, his first 2 seasons, might have been his apex. Maybe that's the best we're going to get out of Mark Sanchez. That's what it seems like right now because I don't see him getting any better. And maybe it's the talent around him, but he's had talent. Might not have been first class, top flight talent, but it was enough to get him where they needed him to go. And look, if you're a quarterback, all you can do is do your job. That's all you can do. You can't do someone else's job. You can't do the running back's job. You can't do the receiver's job, tight end's job. All you can do is your job. If the talent around you isn't good enough, then let that show. Let that reflect itself. Let the record reflect that the talent isn't good enough at those positions. The only way for that to occur is if you do your job adequately. More than adequately. You have to do your job, and the other guys just have to not get it done. So what I'm saying is, that's not an excuse. That's not a viable excuse to me that the Jets don't have enough talent, which could be one of the key reasons, because I'm not overly impressed with what they have on the field around Mark Sanchez. I'm really not. But that's not the point. If he was doing his job adequately and guys around him weren't getting the job done, then that would be a different story. Then you could say, look, Mark Sanchez is doing all he can. He's going out there. He's putting the ball in the money. Guys are dropping passes. He's, putting guys in positions to make plays. They're not making plays. He's throwing perfect balls. Guys are getting tackled when they catch the football. There's no separation. He's having to throw guys open. We're not saying that about Mark Sanchez. He's making mistakes, mental lapses in judgment. He's not making the right reads. He's throwing interceptions. He's holding on to the ball too long. He's fumbling. He's not taking the Jets to the next level. He's not doing the things for the Jets to win football games on a week in, week out basis. And so I'm not sold on Mark Sanchez as a quarterback. Never have been, and I still am not. And I don't think I ever will be. So I said all of that to say, when is it time for them to try Tim Tebow? I hear all this talk about Tim Tebow isn't this, he's not that. How about you just put him in the game, run some plays that highlight his strengths, and go at it? What do you have to lose at this point? You're 3-6 on the season. You're not going to make the postseason. You're not winning football games. You're not even competitive anymore. You went on Sunday after a bye week, 2 weeks to prepare for the Seattle Seahawks. You went in and were uncompetitive. What do you have to lose at this point? Rex Ryan is adamant about playing Mark Sanchez. Why? Why? Do you really believe that Mark Sanchez gives you the best chance to win a football game? Because I don't. I seriously don't. I say you take Tony Sparano, who I feel like is the master at getting the most out of nothing. You put Tim Tebow in. You construct an offense. And this is what you should have did in the bye week. It's really, honestly, if you want my honest opinion, it's too late to do it now because you had a bye week to kind of construct your offense, to tailor it around Tim Tebow, figure out what things in your playbook could work and what things wouldn't work. Take the things out that would, add the rest that you think will be successful, and put Tim Tebow in and run your offense that way. Instead, you decide to put Tim Tebow in a box. He's a wildcat quarterback. That's it. And so now you're stuck with Mark Sanchez. And honestly, I hope you go. And I'm not a vindictive guy. I'm not someone who wishes bad on anybody. But I hope the Jets go 4-12. Really hope the Jets go 4-12 because there's a lot of bullheaded guys in that organization. First of all, you traded for Tim Tebow. Why'd you do that? If you weren't going to use him, why'd you trade for him? You knew exactly what you were getting into when you traded for him. If you trade for Tim Tebow and things don't go right with Mark Sanchez, which you knew was a very distinct possibility, what the hell did you think was going to happen? You knew the crowd was going to want Tim Tebow in the game. You knew the media was going to be clamoring for Tim Tebow to get into the game. What did you think was going to happen? You knew the locker room was going to have dissension. What did you think was going to happen? So there's a lot of things going on in the background that I don't like, and because of it, not just because of Rex Ryan and him being bullheaded about not wanting to put Tim Tebow in, not because of Antonio Cromartie coming out and speaking on behalf of what he thinks is a whole Jets locker room and himself saying that I don't care what the crowd thinks, I don't care what the fans think, forget what they think. Mark Sanchez is our quarterback. He's supposed to back his quarterback. But the fact of the matter is, the quarterback's not good. You're not winning football games. You're not even competitive. And you got Tim Tebow sitting right there, a guy that a season ago you couldn't even beat. You went and traded for him in the offseason. What did you think was going to happen if Mark Sanchez struggled? And yet you won't give him a chance. I don't care if he's not what you thought he was. What did you think you were getting? That's my whole question. What did you think you were getting? You thought you were just getting this guy that, if given the right circumstance, was just going to start throwing the football all around the field? You knew what you were getting. Put him in the game. You need to see what he can do. If he's not what you thought he was, because evidently what you see in practice is not what you like. Tim Tebow's not your average run-of-the-mill quarterback. You're not going to be able to just drop him back and say, hey, fling it around the football field. That's not. You knew that when you went and acquired him. And if you acquired him just to be a little piece off to the side that you could just dibble and dabble with, then you were wrong. You were wrong in your approach, and you need to rectify it. Either you need to get rid of Tim Tebow, or you need to put him in the game. And that's going to do it for this episode of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. Again, it's Tuesday, so we have a lot of things coming up during the course of this week. You are going to get that division standings segment this week. I guarantee it. I've been singing that tune for the last 2 weeks, and now I am ready to bring it to you. So be on the lookout for that divisional standings segment. It'll be up shortly. Keep your eyes peeled for that this week. And again, I thank you for joining me. Several ways to contact me, several ways to view the show. There's Facebook. Like me on Facebook, In the Lab Room Facebook page. I'm on Twitter, at In the Lab Room, Twitter handle. Like me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. You also have the inbox. Drop something in the inbox. At In the Lab. Drop something in the inbox. In the Lab Room at gmail.com is the inbox. Love to hear from you. There's also the YouTube page, which is probably the easiest, most efficient way to access the show and to get to me. Either you drop a message at the bottom of the video, or you just watch the video, like it. Whatever you do, I'll see it. I thank you for everything you've done, all the support, and ask that you continue to support the show and the movement. And ask that you come back here tomorrow, same time, same place. We'll come back tomorrow with more content for you, the viewer, the fan. And as always, have a good one. See you tomorrow.